Hey everyone, good morning. I know it's a Monday morning, not our usual Monday morning. I didn't personally feel any Monday blues. Pretty much feels like any other day since everything's just been sort of sinking in together. So today we have an exceptionally interesting conversation lying ahead. We are going to be talking to someone who is going to be really answering our questions or really helping us understand this new normal. I know a lot of parents are struggling or really coping with this whole idea of virtual learning, virtual teaching, and really how do you keep kids busy in the right manner with gadgets and all of that stuff. To talk with us today, I have Parita Parekh. Parita is the co-founder and head of learning at Toddler app. So Toddler really over the globe supports teachers in how to use technology tools for kids. And at Basis, we thought it makes total sense to really talk to the expert in this space, Parita, who could tell us a little bit more about what you could do in such times with using various tools or really understanding what works for kids over various ages in that they are. And I'm quickly going to get her on. Just give me a moment.
Hi, Deepika.
Hey, hi Parita, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. I'm
I'm
glad we
sorry. I'm
managed to
sorry.
get
There was
this.
some trouble. There was some trouble. This is the first time I'm doing a live, so and that clearly shows.
No, that I think that's totally okay. And yeah, I think I missed one a really important part of Parita's introduction, which she really didn't tell me earlier, and I looked it up. So Parita is a professional swimmer as well. And Parita, I did give a quick intro about you, but I think it would be great if, yeah, you could tell us a little more about you and Toddle.
Sure, sure. So, thanks, Deepika, for inviting me to do this. And a quick background. So, I grew up in Ahmedabad. When I was growing up, that's when I used to be an international swimmer. I swam through high school and college, and represented India at various international events and won at the South Asian Games and the Afro Asian Games and all of that. So, swimming is a very integral part of my life. After my high school, I went to Brown to do my undergrad, and I studied education there. After Brown, I came back. I worked in politics for a bit. I was very interested in, just public policy, developmental studies, all of those things. So worked in the political space for a little bit, and very quickly realized that this is not what I'm meant to do. I need to be very hands-on with what I do, and that's when Dipanshu and I we started Toddler's Den, which is a network of preschools, and we have three: one in Ahmedabad, one in Bombay, and one in Hyderabad. They are truly play-based. The goal is to provide very high-quality, child-driven learning experiences to all of our children. So that's what we do. And then when we were doing Toddlers Den, we were very, our goal was to be very intentional with the way we are using technology in the classroom. So we didn't want it to be that, students are holding iPads or, are learning using screens. But what we wanted to do was enable our teachers to have the best technology tools so that they can implement a truly world-class learning program, right? So that's when Toddle started. So Toddle was a passion project that started when we were building Toddler's Den, and we were just building technology for our schools and to support all of our teachers to do teaching and learning in a very authentic way. And that's essentially where the Toddle journey started. About a year and a half back, we launched Toddle, and we launched it to market essentially. So till then, it was very confined to just our schools. And since then, we have around 800 schools globally that use Toddle to manage all of their teaching and learning. So teachers, do everything from curriculum design, lesson planning, digital portfolios, reporting, assessments, parent communication. So everything that a teacher needs in today's day to implement a good program, Toddle does, helps teachers do all of that. Yeah.
I think that's incredible. 800 schools across the globe. Yeah. And yeah, which brings me to the most basic question, even while we're talking about Toddler here. I think I'd just be curious to know if online learning can really be as effective as physical learning, as effective as actual classroom learning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, Deepika. And we've been having so many conversations about this internally as a team and with all of our partner schools. So, a couple of parts to that answer. I think the basis of teaching and learning remain the same. So, a teacher is still going to focus on doing, ensuring that learning is meaningful, it is relevant to that age
Yeah.
group, it is still challenging, and it's very skill focused. But what I think changes drastically is the medium, right? In a classroom setting, the teacher has the opportunity to sort of jump around from table to table to see what the different students are doing,
Yeah.
and be very personal in giving feedback, ensure that learning is collaborative. But I think what has changed now is that teachers aren't able to make learning that collaborative. It's very independent. So teachers would give a task and a student will do it at home, and then
Yeah.
teacher would provide feedback on that, right? But I've still seen a lot of schools come up with very innovative ways to encourage collaboration and to ensure that feeling of community in the school setting, in the classroom setting, still exists. But it's of course a challenge that we are all facing, and sort of learning how I think teachers have had like the most rapid turnaround to this
Yeah.
crisis.
Yeah.
Literally overnight, they changed the way they were teaching, and I think that's incredible.
Yeah, I think which sort of, the part that you talked about, where, of course, teachers also have to deal with this new reality of not being able to interact with kids
Yeah.
in classroom. So, which brings me to the point that how does this really make interacting for kids with other kids easy? Because one
Yeah.
challenge is, of course, for teachers with the kids, but the other, I think, is also children just like this environment of being in a classroom. So how does that really, how does it make it easier? Does it work in a similar manner? Yeah.
Yeah, so Deepika, in the education space, what they say is there's like two types of learning that's happening. There's asynchronous and there's synchronous. So asynchronous is when you're sending out lessons to your students, and students do it independently at their time and pace.
Yeah.
And then there's synchronous, which is live, like we are doing right now. Interacting in real time, and schools are implementing a mix of the two. I think what's really interesting and what we've seen and what we've also been doing at Toddler's Den is that there's this opportunity, and at Toddler is that there's this opportunity where teachers can have live lessons with their students, and so students can interact with their friends. So they would spend about 15 minutes, say, where the students are just saying hi to their friends and just catching up, and
Oh,
even that sort of adds so much value, because
yeah,
children's
yeah.
lives have turned upside down as well, right? They're suddenly not going out, they're not playing, they're not going to school. There's no literally a huge change, and we don't talk about that enough. I think it's important for them to have that social time. So teachers are planning for that very very actively, just making sure that they get to exchange notes of how this lockdown has been for them.
No, I think that's great. Yeah, this whole part about, that spending the 10, 15 minutes in the early part of the virtual session for the kids to interact with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something good that might be happening. So, Parita, as a follow on, I just, of course, we're just talking about like 1.5 billion kids who are not really going to classrooms
Yeah.
anymore. A lot of schools have very quickly moved to virtual learning. But I'm just want to pose this question to you that post the COVID crisis, whenever that ends, can we really expect a world where time spent in physical schools becomes lesser and maybe kids and parents really adapt to virtual learning in a better manner?
Yeah, Deepika, that's again like one of the conversations I think a lot of edtech companies are having right now is this the new norm? Is this what we are expecting schools to be doing forever? I think the way we look at it at Toddle is that the future
Yeah,
of learning is blended. It's not just online or it's not just in school. It's
yeah,
very much a mix of the two. And given that we've all lived through this, I think schools are going to be prepared with having the right technology solutions to to weather this whenever it comes back, right? Like
yeah.
because if not COVID-19, we are always going to be prepared for another challenge going forward because we've lived through this, so we know that it is in the realm of possibility that this can happen. So I think
Yeah,
learning is very much going to be blended. It's going to be a mix of online and physical in school learning, and the challenge there is going to be for teachers and schools, to support parents and children to do this in a way that the transition is very smooth. So it shouldn't be that virtual is very like right now what we are doing, what schools are doing, and what we are also doing is that we are finding solutions very rapidly,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the change is very rapid. In the future, we should be at a place where this tech infrastructure is very sorted and very stable, and it's very efficient as well.
No, I think that's great. We're all left with this. I mean, I don't have kids, so I'm not going to say we, but yeah, parents are left with this sudden new reality, which which I actually have a question which follows up to this. This is from a parent. This is Sushma. So Sushma asked us, the school system went online very quickly, leaving parents with not much time to prepare, with even resources such as digital devices, adjusting schedules of their own and kids' schedules as well. With
Yeah.
schools reopening uncertain, any idea on how this process can really be like, ironed out and made it like make it smoother in a manner?
So currently, I think a great question, Sushma. I think this is it is a real problem, right? Like there's not enough crayons and not enough paint in houses to
They're
ensure
not
that
even
their
have
children.
laptops even,
Yeah,
like, you don't, you
exactly.
probably, yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Talk about the little ones, like the issues are paint and crayons, but for the older ones, it's just basic internet connection, right? And that's where, like,
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of talk about equality in education. Like, there are still schools that have transitioned to virtual learning because they can, right? They have
yeah,
the
yeah,
infrastructure, and all of the toddler schools mostly fall in that category where they are very well equipped with technology and their parents are also. But
yeah,
in the case that you're not, I think that there are a lot of, and if your schools are not supporting you, there are a lot of free tools that are available. And there's,
yeah,
apart from the free tools that are available online, so there's a whole bunch of like, like I was telling you the other day, virtual
yeah.
field trips that are available, and so many things that you could just do online. Like Nat Geo has this full series that I'm personally obsessed with now. I think is like just taking a virtual field trip with polar bears and things like that, right? So that is
Oh,
one part of it, which is still more tech based, while the other is, there's a lot of content out there, and we are also making a lot of that content, which is things you can do at home without technology, right? That will help you build research skills, that will help you build thinking skills, and these are sort of 21st century skills. So it's not just for a 6-year-old or for a 10-year-old. It's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
sort of timeless challenge that children across different age groups can do. So I would say like both things, a lot out there, and happy to share our website after the call. We've been creating a lot of content focused on that as well.
Yeah, so I think, Parita, we talked about this earlier, and I would be very interested because I also saw this on Toddler's website a little earlier. I'm going to split this into two parts.
Yeah.
One, really, because I was very interested in the non-virtual learning tools that you all had mentioned on the website.
Yeah.
But if you could probably share a couple of resources, online, which parents can really lean on, and also maybe a couple of activities which are offline. And yeah, of course, we will share Toddler's resources as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I should have prepared for this better, but just things that come off the top of my head,
Yeah, yeah.
and I have offhand are so National Geographic has this really good set of virtual field trips, and then there's San Diego Zoo, which has really good resources as well. Khan Lab, so Khan Academy has like a kids version now. So they took over this company called Duck Duck Moose, and they create a lot of great play-based content for using technology. So I would say check that out as well. In terms of non-tech resources, I think it's very. I'm sorry. Adding a couple of more to my tech list is definitely this company called Get Epic. It has lots and lots of books, and these are all free for every parent, right? So literally, just give your child like a phone or an iPad, and they can go through picture books. They can go through storybooks, all focused on different skills and different topics. So Epic is one of my favorite tools as well. And then there's this website called Storyline online, where there's all of these Hollywood stars that are doing read aloud for children, right? So that's really cool as well. Yeah. And so there's like Emma Watson doing a read aloud and stuff like that. So really high quality things, and you could check that out as well. Apart from that, in terms of non-tech challenges, right? Think of the simplest things that you could do with your child, and we often talk about this as well, that people are going through the internet, and they are going through like just like trying to find activities on Pinterest and stuff like that to do at home. But what you should start with doing is share your interest and passion, right? Like if you love cooking as a parent, then take your child in the kitchen and just like cook with them, and sharing your passion will actually be like the best learning that you can give them at this time. And also it'll be truly authentic, because you're sharing something that well, and you're passionate about. So instead of just like going through lots of Pinterest activities and things like that, I think it's better to start closer to home, and think about what you like to do. So that is one. And then just other things like we in our list we put out things which were very basic, right? Which were like find the constellations in the sky, and like map like actually draw them out and see what they look like, or start like a journal that you keep every day, or take up like a challenge for in terms of cooking, or create like one of those machines that sort of help you every time someone opens a cabinet, that someone's opened it, because a bell will ring or something like that, right? So you create and design that entire machine. So doing things like that, which are fun and challenging, and not very content focused, but rather sort of thinking skills focused, I think is what we're looking to share with the world.
No, I think these are just great resources, especially the online ones. I wasn't really aware of, Hollywood stars doing read alouds and all of that. I think that's going to be very helpful, not just for kids, I think, even for parents, or even like people like us. I think that is great. And so the Nat Geo thing you mentioned, is that like on Hotstar Plus, Disney Plus? Is it?
No, it's actually not. So it's not on Disney Hotstar or any of those things. It's on their website. So I can maybe what I can do, Deepika, is like send you some of these links, and you can put it up on your handle. So just go to National Geographic Virtual Field Trips, and like you will get the web page that has that, and then they have lesson plans and questions that go along with each virtual field trip as well.
No, that is amazing. That is like incredible stuff, I think. And yeah, I think in this whole environment, and coming to the point about, doing different activities, like yesterday I saw a friend really put up this story, which I thought was very interesting, using materials at home, out of a cardboard, made like a television, and had her toddler sit inside it, and he was really being the TV show for real. Yeah, like switching channels, and which I thought was quite cool. And I think, parents are also trying new things, which if you could help us answer this in some manner, how do parents really build a friendly relationship with their kids where now primarily the parent is the educator of sorts? So how do you really build a balanced relationship now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what we need to, and I think parents and need to be very aware of this is that we schools and all of us in the education space don't want parents to become teachers, even though they were the first teachers
Uh-huh.
of children. We don't want you
Yeah.
to do school at home, right? Because doing
Yeah.
like that just there is a lot that goes into it, which is technical, and that comes only with the right set of academic training. So it's important to know that parents should not try to replace teachers or even wear the teacher's shoes, right? Do your bit,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
just, I think it's really at the end of the day, it's not about like the number of activities that your child is able to do in a day, or the schedule they're able to follow, but it's very much about just building that relationship where even children love doing things, right? A child gets bored if you don't have things set out for them, and it's about doing it well. So a couple of things that we recommend to parents is also just make sure that you have a set routine for your child, right? Set the right expectations that from 8 to 11 or 8 to 12 is going to be our learning time or something like that, and we're going to start that learning time by sharing the agenda for the day, or we're going to start with like a good morning song or something like that. So make sure that like you set a very specific routine and stick to that routine through this time, right? So every day morning, don't change it up, and don't try to, and make sure that even the activities that the school is prescribing or that you are deciding to do with your children are done within those hours. So it's not that you're doing it
Yeah. When you
randomly
have the
on the,
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's not about your time, because children love routines, and they exist and like they function very, very well when they have very set routines. So honor that, right? Honor a child's routine, and make sure that you respect them as these decision-making adults that know how to go through their day. So I think that's essentially key, is just doing that. I think apart from that, I think parents know how to be parents the best, and how to sort
Yeah.
of build that relationship with their children and keep it going. But yeah, my only bit would be like, don't try to be the teacher.
Yeah, I think that was actually the question I got, but you answered it already. So don't try and be the educator, leave it to the experts. And I'm probably also just going to do a quick plug for bases here. So I think it's also a good time to talk to kids about money in an
Yeah.
easy manner. It doesn't have to be a technical or tough conversation, but really teaching them the basics of money. And on the Basis website, we have a whole lot of blogs which really helps you train your kids or understand the value of money, which
Yeah.
perhaps, Parita, brings me to the point which I usually ask every woman at the end of our conversation. I know
Yeah.
you and your husband are co-founders of your company. So yeah, you all are together at work, together at home. And how do you all maintain how do you all have the money talk? Do you all have the money talk, your personal finances, and plan things out? Yeah.
Yeah. We are actually, we've been really, really planned, because, working together and living together is definitely a challenge. And I don't think it's easy to start, when you start. So I think we've set into the routine of doing it. And, we've established norms around how we work together and live together. But when we started, of course, that was not the case. So it's been a lot of learning the last 4 years. But now, so in terms of our finances, we have like a very like an Excel sheet of how we monitor our expenses, and just knowing that we are both equals, and we want to support each other in every way that we can. Yeah, I think it's very important to have these conversations early on.
No, I think that's great. Yeah, having an Excel sheet is the simplest form of keeping things in check. Yeah, I think it's very
Yeah.
important. But yeah, Parita, thank you so much for making time for this. I know things have been exceptionally busy for you with this sudden turn of events, and we managed to put this chat together. Thank you. I think I'm personally curious to look at all the resources you shared. We'll be happy to share them with our audience, with Toddler's tools as well. So thank you so much again for making time for this. And yes, rest of you stay tuned for
Thank you
our
so much,
yeah.
Deepika, for having me here. It was amazing. Just yeah, just, like my first live experience, and I was very excited to do it.
No, it was really fun. I think lots of stuff for me to take away personally as well. Yeah. Thanks again. Yeah.
Great,
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deepika.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, guys. Stay tuned for our upcoming chats. Yeah.